Welcome back to another episode of On the Subject. I'm your host, Michael Villardo, co-founder and CEO of Subject, subject.com, subject.ai. You know where to find us. Today we're in Chicago doing our first Midwest podcast, and we're also at the Leaders in AI and Media Education Conference, which we just had a panelist, Erin Collins, the Director of Alternative Education at Bremen. We are so excited to have her here today and have her highlight the innovation of education, her district, and her leadership. Thank you for joining the show today.
Thank you for having me. This has been a wonderful conference so far. I really appreciate it. It's been fun.
No, it's so fun. And we really are indebted to you, and we appreciate everything you do for your students. And we always love to start with that is what made you want to help students? Why do you care so much?
Oh, man. Okay. It really goes back to my cousin. I have my cousin Anthony is my inspiration in my life. He is the best thing in this world. And so he inspired me when I was younger that I knew that I wanted to get into the world of education, specifically with special education and help students from there. So I went to Illinois State University. What's up, Redbirds?
Yeah, go Redbirds.
Yes,
let's go.
Let's go. Yeah. And studied special education.
It's a great teaching school.
It is
a really
amazing.
great teaching school.
It is. And I'm lucky and fortunate enough to go back there a couple of times and just to see that the program is still, it's just next level. It's just, that's, if you're going to go to school for education, that's where you should go.
ISU, let's go.
ISU.
My mom and dad both went to ISU. Yeah, they're both Redbirds. That's where they met.
Yeah. Fantastic. We love a good story.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how I came into education.
I love that. And so what have you seen change the most over
Everything.
the course? I even loved how in the panel you said AI has changed in this sentence, which is a great growth mindset to be like, hey, things are changing so quickly. But it is wild to take a step back and say, okay, in 1990 and 2000, 2010, what was so much different from 2020, now 2025, 2030? What has been the most, in terms of alternative education especially, I think there's been a lot of changes. What have you seen the most of the course of your career?
I really do mean everything. I remember, so if I'm going to give shout outs to schools,
I go for it.
It's from Oak Forest High School.
Yeah.
And then I was fortunate enough to come back to the district. So I'm at 228. I started at Tinley Park High School teaching at first. And I remember having like my computer for email. And I was like, oh, wow, this is interesting. Like, how exciting. And now just to know that was used every once in a while. And now technology is at our fingertips constantly. And not only is it at our fingertips, but it's at the fingertips of our students.
Yeah.
And that they can be having a conversation with you and having a full conversation on a text without even looking up is wild. So technology is a huge piece, both good and bad, as everything is, moderation. And then the socialization between students is so different. They've lost that inner ability to do justice. This would put them, I told you I'm out of my comfort zone, they would be beside themselves. They'll want to watch and listen to this, but to engage in it with different. So it's trying to figure out the pieces to hook a kid and engage him. As I said earlier on the panel, and my mission in life is I think that connection before anything else, above all, at all times.
Relationships, one-on-one.
Yes. So that's what's always stayed consistent with education, but the biggest changes has got to be the availability of technology, how it is unavoidable at this point, and how rapidly it's growing is wild.
Yeah, it's absolutely wild. And something I always think about is the kids of the 80s and 90s. A lot of things they like to do out of class and socialize and going out and about town. Now it feels a lot of video game passion, a lot of Instagram passion, TikTok. When we've gone through this transition of people hanging out in digital spaces versus in-person spaces, that's made the school system that much more important because now it's even more of a town hall. What have you seen at your building that's really allowed for students to feel comfortable being vulnerable with you and your leaders?
That's a great question. I know that I'm biased, but my team is the best. They kill.
Shout out the team.
Kids. They do.
Yes.
Delta Academy.
Delta Academy. Let's go.
But you have to get on their level. You have to be able to connect with them. It can be over the Cubs game.
Yeah, go Cubs.
Or a good burger. You know what I mean?
Oh,
but there has to be that. So I think making sure that we always have that at the forefront is first and foremost the most important thing. And I know it's just going to keep changing, but like you're talking about things we used to like to do outside of school, now they have their phone with them on everything. Figuring out how you can turn it into a positive spin.
Yeah, positivity wins.
Yes.
And being able to encourage behaviors through reward systems is really important. And I think one thing as well, I'm curious to hear your take on this is with these students, we're at the Gen Alpha generation now. So many people, you Gen Z, which was incredible. And I'm a huge fan of how much they care about people. Gen Z is about done. Now it's Gen Alpha. What do you think we could learn from the Gen Z generation as we pivot into Gen Alpha, a lot of these students in Gen Alpha, they were fourth grade through sixth grade when the COVID hit,
Yeah.
or some of them even earlier in their journey. So there's probably some really traumatic experiences from that.
For sure.
How do we help make sure they feel the love and support to have success?
They have to be seen as individuals, as learners, as people. They have to be seen just in the and tapping into what are you interested on TikTok and what reels are you? I'm an old woman when I'm like, my reels. I'm like, you mean
Yeah,
TikTok?
real.
Well, I get it on Instagram
Yeah.
because I'm
Instagram and Facebook
yes,
Reels. There's all of them. Let's
exactly.
go.
But I think that it's learning that there are people think, I think you actually mentioned it when we were in LA, that kids are able to multi-focus on all these different
Yep.
things and we think of it as an attention deficit. It's not. It's actually their superpower that
It's
they
a
can do all these
superpower. Yeah.
things. We can afford to learn from that.
Yeah.
And if you're going to get them in education, in the workforce, in just engage in conversation, we have to change some of our mindset too to understand that just because that's not how we grew up. And now I feel really old saying it like that. But like
Time
you have to
flies.
be able to have a conversation about the fact that they have this superpower and it's not that they're distracted. I see it with my own kids. It's just that they have a skill that we don't because they've had so much technology at their fingertips since the moment they arrived. In COVID, we as I always try to find positives. So there is positives in every bad solution, every bad situation.
100% is.
But I think we have to get back to some of our old roots too to make sure there is that human interaction and connection. It can't just be tech based.
Yeah, no, the one-on-one relationship is everything.
Yeah.
I completely agree with you. And I think the goal of any provider, subject, or whomever there's in the
Yeah.
classroom should be to empower more teacher to student one-on-one moments. And
Absolutely.
that's what we fight for every day. But we always love to culminate our conversations with gratitude. We're all about positivity, gratitude, students, teachers. What student, teacher, anyone who's impacted you would you love to thank and give a shout out to the camera? It could
Oh
be
my
anyone you
goodness.
want. I know, put me
How
on the
much time
spot.
do I have?
Yeah.
I'll start crying. I really mean it. I will start crying. I
It's a safe space.
absolutely love what I do. I feel like I have the best job in the world. I work with the absolute most amazing team of individuals, and we work with the best kids I've ever had the chance of meeting. They're amazing, and that's who I want to thank. I could thank my family. I could thank the educate. But the students are why I get up every day. And it's a joke. I have 3 kids of my own, and so
Nice.
we tell our Tessa, Bree, and Ford. And we tell them, if I'm going to leave you and send you to school every day and I have to go to work, I'm going to replace you for that time period with my other family.
Yeah,
It's my
right.
kids. And
Yeah.
our students are just, they're the future. They are why we do what we do. They're so unique. They've been through so much more turmoil and chaos than any of us ever had just in the generation they're growing up in. And they're so resilient and man, they're awesome. So I'd have to thank my students at Delta Academy.
I love that moment of
Yeah.
gratitude. That was so beautiful.
Thank
And
you.
I think the one thing we always say is, of course, above all else, we're also lucky to have people we love in our life. The impact that you're making on these students, it's just such a large scale, and that impact on society, it's forever, appreciated by me, and I hope everyone, because it's the most impactful piece. And the fact that you say you bring that love for your family even into the classroom, your students feel that, and that's amazing.
Thanks.
So really inspirational. And that's another incredible episode of On the Subject. What a beautiful way to end this. And please comment down below, YouTube, Spotify, you know where to find us. And thank you so much for your time today. That was
Absolutely.
amazing.
Thank you. It was so nice. Thanks.